WWE are adding more new titles. Plus, Michael Cole comments on the Corey Graves situation. And an ex-pair of tag team champions from WWE are making an in-ring return for WrestleMania week. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Not since that branch of Marks and Spencer shut near me have I seen so many belts on display, Jack.
Very good.
A lot of championships in WWE, and we are adding 2 more.
We are, and that is because Triple H, aka Paul Levesque, has unveiled 2 brand new WWE title belts designed specifically for the WWE ID program. He shared a photo of the new men's and women's WWE ID championships, saying that these titles will spotlight the best of the best from the WWE ID scheme. Also, the WWE ID Twitter shared details of how the first champions will be decided, Tom.
The first WWE ID championships will be determined in a tournament across the top independent wrestling promotions. The first WWE ID championships will then be defended on the indies. Stay tuned to this account for more news soon. This is coming just a few days after plans for the WWE Evolve Championship were revealed ahead of Evolve starting next month. So some people I think some conversations were that maybe the WWE Evolve title would be a belt that's defended on independent shows. But this shows the WWE ID thing is going to be a division below Evolve.
It's going to be an external thing, yeah. It's going to Evolve seems like it's going to be its own self-contained thing, or mostly self-contained. And then we've got these new ID championships going out there and being defended and fought for in all the promotions now affiliated with WWE. It puts, as you've mentioned here, the new WWE ID titles will put WWE's current active title count at 22, which is a lot of title belts.
It's the most they've ever had in their history. Now, a lot of times I call out AEW on their sheer amount of titles. Yeah. And I stand by that as well. I think the only saving grace when it comes to how many belts WWE have is that they're not all defended on the same 2 shows. Like, they're like, obviously you've got belts exclusive to one show, belts exclusive to another main roster show, belts exclusive to NXT, belts exclusive to Twitter, why not? And belts exclusive to Evolve, and the ID programs will be their own things as well. So you're not going to have every belt defended on every show. That would just be redonkulous.
Yes.
So different iterations, almost like different leagues. It's like the ID becomes like the Vauxhall Conference, or the Autoglass Division 9 of the wrestling world.
And I get it. I get what they're trying to do. I think that whichever side you landed on when the ID scheme was first announced, I don't think this is going to change your opinion either way. It might just even intensify your position, because on one hand, it's a great opportunity for many indie wrestlers to get their name out there, win one of these WWE ID championships, and hopefully set themselves on the way to a bigger and better career down the line. On the other hand, it could mess with a lot of it could be seen as a sign of WWE tightening their stranglehold on the independent scene, especially in North America. And also, we've both worked in independent wrestling before. We both know, well, you still do. I used to work in independent wrestling as well. We both know the old trope of like an outsider coming into a promotion, a big import or a big name or whatever, and it maybe can mess with booking plans because they can't take a clean loss. And this seems like the sort of thing that could cause those issues to crop up more and more.
Well, the only thing that might go against that on this occasion is the fact that the ID titles are planned to be defended across indie promotions, as opposed to, for example, like when a TNA champion goes to an indie show to defend that title, you're pretty confident that belt's not going to change hands. But the whole concept of these is they're belts that don't really have a show of their own.
Okay.
So it would suggest that maybe they could actually activate some title changes on indie shows.
Also feels maybe a bit old school in like an NWA sort of way, with a traveling champion going around these different territories and stuff. And Triple H, as we know, loves that sort of thing.
You know what, they've played a blinder because they've kind of got the territory system back without all the bother of running wrestling companies.
Yeah.
They've just got a belt which they take to different places.
Yeah, fair enough.
I really want to delve a little bit deeper into this, but I'm intrigued by it. But yeah, a lot of belts currently in the company, but doing lots of different things. And I think this is a statement as to what WWE want to do on the indie scene as well.
Yeah, and it'll be very intriguing to see what sort of impact this has in the near future.
Meanwhile, Michael Cole was a guest on Logan Paul's show. It dropped just a short while ago. They were meant to have Tiffany Stratton on, but she cancelled. So about midnight, Michael Cole said he was sat in the bar and he had a message from Logan Paul saying, "Do you want to come on the podcast tomorrow?"
And he was like, yeah, I'll do that.
I'll do that,
buddy.
And it's a thing. It's a really cool chat with Michael Cole, actually.
I think, as no offense to Tiffany Stratton at all, I think, but Logan Paul interviews, we see interviews with big current champions all the time. Cole's one who's never really done something like this, as far as I can remember. Not on too big.
He's popped up on like Pat McAfee's show, but outside of that, very rare.
He rarely talks about his own career and his own stuff, so it is interesting.
Talks a lot about like working under Vince McMahon and how like a lot of the things that he's doing now, he would not have been allowed to have done under that particular administration. But the situation around Corey Graves from a little while back was brought up by Logan Paul, and Michael Cole commented on it.
Yeah, with questions still going on, keep this in mind, whether it was a shoot, whether it was a work. When Corey expressed his dissatisfaction on social media, Michael Cole said, "That's a strange situation. I love Corey. I still don't understand all the dynamics. He sent something out on social media that was critical of the company. He tried to explain it to everyone that he was just trying to generate some interest in a type of storyline, but I don't think the company saw it that way. I think him and the company are working that out." I think still working that out now as we speak. This kind of seems to confirm, unless Cole is playing a blinder here, that it does kind of seem to confirm that, as we maybe suspected, the Corey Graves thing wasn't a planned storyline or angle. But again, there's no certainties here, because people in wrestling like to pull the wool sometimes, but it is another, I guess, piece of evidence in favor that it was a real situation.
And it's a weird long game to play where you go, we'll have this thing happen and we'll never acknowledge it, and we won't acknowledge it ever again.
and when there's a vacancy on SmackDown one week for Corey's old role, we'll instead have Vic Joseph come up instead, and it feels too convenient, which that Corey may have been genuinely unhappy about being shifted to NXT.
Maybe. Now, Michael Cole was glowing of the work that he does with Corey Graves and Corey Graves in general. Booker T, less so complimentary on his podcast a few weeks back. Worth pointing out, saying where Booker T on Hall of Fame said, "We're not cool at all." I didn't like the tweet. I didn't tell him I didn't like it, but I'm sure perhaps there'll come a time where I might say it. He wasn't talking to me, wasn't talking about me, so therefore it's out of my pay rate. So I'll let my bosses handle that stuff. My thing is, stay off Twitter, especially after you've been drinking. Everybody wants to put their lives on Twitter with their followers and everybody to be a part of their lives. I don't know. I just don't get that part right there. For me, I'm so glad I'm so disconnected from that stage of life.
I get that bit. I get that from Booker T, fair enough. But the bit that I don't get from Booker there is saying, I haven't said anything about it. I might say something about it, and now I'm going to talk about it at length in quite scathing detail. Okay.
Good work, you. Yeah. Over we go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. A little update on some big players and their potential futures or non-futures within New Japan.
Yes, some of the non-Japanese talent in New Japan specifically. Fightful Select report, quote, "A number of New Japan contracts were set to expire in January. As of early February, there was still a number of wrestlers who did not have new contracts but continued working with the company. We can't speak to who has nailed down their deals as of yet, but Gabe Kidd, David Finlay, Kevin Knight, Zack Sabre Jr., among others, were all expiring with new deals seemingly on the way. David Finlay has been announced for upcoming shows, which would seem to imply that, at the very least, Finlay seems to maybe have re-signed a new deal. We're still waiting to see what happens with the others. But, I mean, given the years that people like Zack Sabre Jr. and Gabe Kidd have just had, you'd expect they'd be quite keen to nail them down.
You would have thought so. And I'd be intrigued to see what Gabe Kidd would do. So I think Gabe was very damning of AEW in the build-up to his match with Kenny Omega, sort of very much walking that fine line that Chris Charlton fell off, as we know. So I'd be intrigued to know whether there would be interest from AEW's perspective to bring him in as part of the show, because I think he's a talent.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Really is.
The way that New Japan have treated him, though, in his rise over the past year or so, I wonder if he would also be hoping that, they can work out a new deal, because he's been portrayed there increasingly in a major way. They gave him the match against Kenny Omega and everything. Zack Sabre Jr. has just lost the belt, so I wonder if that's a sign that he's out the door or whether he'll re-sign as well.
I feel like we didn't see enough of Zack Sabre Jr. as IWGP champion. I feel like we could have done some more. Maybe we still will. I'm torn, because on one hand I agree with you there, but on the other hand, Hiroki Goto's come so close to winning that belt over the decades, and to see him finally do it was a great moment. Goto's been the go-to for some time.
He absolutely has. The go-to when you need someone to choke in the biggest matches, but this time he did it. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there.
One that we will keep an eye on. And WrestleMania week on the horizon, we're keeping an eye on that one. Former WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, the Iconics.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even plan that.
We didn't plan that. That was lovely. We didn't even go to journalism for that.
Hit my knee as we did it. Under the table. That's okay.
They're getting back in the ring for the first time since 2022. Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, now known, of course, as The Inspiration. They're facing Nicole Matthews and Kylie Ray at Prestige Wrestling's Nothing to Lose on WrestleMania Thursday.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. A lot of people, me and some other people I've seen also suggest on social media, wanted them to be part of Chelsea Green's security detail. Her and Piper Niven have been going, like, we need more protection, we need more people around us. That I thought that meant The Inspiration or the Iconics, but it looks as though we are getting some inspiration action, at least in this tag team match against Matthews and Ray. So that'll be very good to see.
It's taking place at the Meet in Las Vegas on Thursday, April 17th. The show's also going to feature...
Oh, it's MEET.
The
right?
Meat.
I was like, is it a butcher's? No, it's the meat.
No bread, no water, just meat.
No, it's the meetup, like the meetup. It's the meat.
Or is it?
No.
Well, Minara Suzuki's on the show.
Oh, my goodness.
Along with El Phantasmo and Michael Oku. And, of course, The Inspiration reunited, and it feels so good. For the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Stay safe and love you. Bye.